Hi, this is Kurt B. Johnson doing another Mindful Monday from downtown Jamestown, New York, on Chautauqua Lake, in my third floor office of the Shaw Books building. Thank you guys for checking in. Hope all is well. You can't be happy all week if you don't start on Monday. Should you choose to be happy, life is choice. Today, I'd like to talk about the science behind my experiential philosophy and what led to the title of my book, which you can see in the background, Lone Star Rising. But today I'd like to get a shout out to my friend, Dr. Bruce Lipton, PhD, stem cell biologist out of the 60s. You can type him in anywhere. He's got thousands of hours on YouTube, and he talks about the biology of belief, which is the book right back here. That is the science behind the Lone Star Rising. In Bruce's book, he goes as far to say that, fear will kill you. And what it does is it releases chemistry to meet that. And you're basically supposed to live, if you're fleeing the saber-toothed tiger and you create all these chemicals within the body, the adrenaline and those type of chemicals, the fight or flight, and you're running away from the saber-toothed tiger. As soon as you get away from them, all of a sudden you reset and you're not in that state. Unfortunately, with all the stressors and everything in our environment and that our economies build on fear, lack, and limitation, and we are forced into judgment and fear, which is the negative pole, the -1 of life. And we get caught up in the fight for life, believing that money is everything. Money will buy you happiness. Once I get this much money, I'm going to feel safe. I'll feel protected because I got money. I'll feel good and look good, driving the things I can buy with money. And unfortunately, chasing money is seeking yourself outside yourself. And it's not all there is to life. And you realize that, unfortunately, as you get older. You spend your first half of your life spending your time to make money, and you spend your second half of your life spending your money to buy your time back. It's kind of a screwed up cycle, and that cycle's about to change. We have 24-hour cycles of life. We have months within the year. There's cycles within cycles, but those are no different than a circuit or a currency. Money's a currency. It's not bad, it's not good. It's our thinking that makes it so. It's our judgment and fear that makes us hoard it. And we just get stuck in these. But the other option is to choose compassion and kindness to create movement. So it's either our judgment or fears, or you're choosing, compassion and kindness to create movement. So just a refresher on experiential philosophy, I'm an expert on my life's experiences. And experiential philosophy is simply that life is your classroom. You're living to learn and you're learning to live as you're moving forward in life. And that's kind of the key framework for the Lone Star Rising. Allowing your Lone Star within you to rise above the horizon of fear. That's the key ingredient in Lone Star Rising. So the energy within me that you can see in the subtitle, Choosing Love Over Fear, is just simply that. That's the core of my experiential philosophy. Energy, by definition, is the ability to create motion or movement. And what I learned in Texas in 1985 on that starlit night, truly, is there was two invisible forces within the universe that create movement within ourselves and those around us. I was introduced in the electrical universe. There was a profound experience. And life is like a battery, like many different batteries, many different circuits and circles. Some are small, some are bigger, but it's all a fractal of life, and we get these experiences in life. And what I call, let me finish with my experiential philosophy. So energy basically is the ability to create motion or movement. And the two invisible forces are love and fear. Life is choice because it's always changing. If you don't like the way you feel, choose the other pole. It's sometimes easier said than done, But as it becomes a practice where you can't be happy once all day because you're going to be constantly realigning with love and choosing love, and the discomfort from love is where you learn. Fear's not bad, it's data. Your emotions, your feelings, they're not disorder, they're data. That's all it is. It's that simple. And the more we can choose that, the more our consciousness, not our consciousness, our coherence rises by using these energies. And as our energies rise, our conscious level rises. Maybe we'll be moving into the hermetic field, as I would say, but the hermetic field might be the scalar field. I mean, words are just words, but there's an invisible language that's made up of love and fear. +1, -1. It's like the wave and the swimming stroke we talked about the last week. +1 is you're coming up over the top, you're inhaling, you're expanding your lungs, you're having that free flow experience. And then the work gets done when you go under the surface of the water and you're pulling yourself through in the freestyle stroke. You're exhaling your breath, contraction, and then you're back up over the same cycle. That's how life seems to unfold for me, but that's experiential philosophy. The more you realize that there's two energies and neither one's bad or good, it's just the way things work. And then the me in there is, yeah, it's all about me and your lone star rising above the horizon of fear, but me also expands into mindful eatery. And that's the project I've been pitching for 15 years in the Shawbooks building, and it's still not here yet, but I think it would have failed if I did it 15 years ago anyway. But the time is right and ripe to create this development. The 3 pillars of the mindful eatery, me, is literally choosing love over fear. Choosing love over fear is just the way that you return to love, and the discomfort from fear is data and it assists you in returning to love. So mindful eatery, back to that, is the 3 pillars of the mindful eatery is that you consume a diet of food, you consume a diet of thoughts, and you consume your environment. And those are the 3 pillars. If one of those 3 pillars is out of harmony, disease happens, chaos happens. But out of the chaos rises coherence within yourself. And it's an individual thing first before the collective really picks up on it. You're in charge of the way you feel. No one else can make you feel anything without your consent. And I attribute that to Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And from that, I've developed, no one can make you feel angry without your consent. No one can make you feel lonely without your consent. It's up to you. You're the architect of the way you feel, and you can set that up in the morning to be happy once all day and to reconnect with that state of happiness. And you're going to fall off it, but that's part of the outgoing and return. It's just a cycle. It's a circuit. It's like the 4 seasons of the year, It's the outgoing and the return. And when you look at your diet of food precedes your mood. And sometimes your mood precedes your diet of food. But it's just having the experiential learning of making mistakes and knowing what you don't want and not complaining about it. Because the more you complain, the more you get the same. I would love to see a grocery store with locally sourced organic plant-based foods and meats with a teeny tiny itsy bitsy teeny weeny junk food section. Do the opposite. I don't like going to these stores and having all these foods with all the pharmaceutical ingredients designed to get you sick, to unstable your mental health, the aspartames and all that. There's an interview I just did with Ralph Walton, Dr. Ralph Walton, who wrote the foreword of Lone Star Rising. And, he's world renowned as the aspartame guy, that aspartame can cause mania and sleepless nights. And anyone will go nutty if you go 3 or 4 days without sleep. It doesn't mean you have to accept a label of a disorder. It's an experience, but it doesn't have to be permanent. And so with your food, that your food can influence your thoughts can influence what you eat, what you think about, you bring about. The more I complain, the more I get the same. But your thoughts are electric. They create your feelings, they create your emotions, and that's what creates your reality. And so the new language coming in is probably more of a quantum language. And supposedly your DNA communicates as like a quantum antenna that we don't fully understand. But it's an invisible language that really words can point you there, but you can't fully get there. And that's kind of what I experienced 40 years ago, was that language of plus one, minus one, love plus, fear minus. And it's an invisible language because life's electric. And it's hard to articulate, but I think people are more open to looking at it that way. So many times when I first started doing my Mindful Mondays on the Shawbucks website or on the Shawbucks Facebook page, they would say, "Oh my God, I love your Mindful Mondays. I really don't know what you're saying, but I like the way you say it." Well, that's the frequency. That's the field that you're experiencing. It's not the words, it's the way you feel when you get exposed to that kind of frequency language, and you recognize it without words. You can't put your finger on it, but that's what it's about. You don't have to understand what I'm saying fully, but if you experience it and you like the way you feel, that's what life's about. And your environment, you have an inner environment, an outer environment, and it's a mirror. A narcissistic self-projection is simply judging and complaining and just getting that recursion. It's an emotional recursion. That's what analog binary harmonics is paying attention to the emotional recursions and trying to create a recursion where you're actually choosing to live to love and love to live, like the cover of the book. The feminine aspects of life and the masculine aspects are coming together, and then you're creating the shape of the front of the book is through choosing to live to love and love to live. You're the architect of your own experience. You can continue a negative recursion, or you could start to use a positive recursion. Life is choice. So I know I went into a lot longer than I was going to do today, but I rolled with it. And if you haven't read The Biology of Belief, by Bruce Lipton, it's all about love and fear, like the science behind it. I'm not a scientist. I'm not claiming to be. I'm an experiential philosopher that had this experience in 1985, which Bruce Lipton had his awakening in 1985 too, that you can read about in the book. And I just want to say thank you for having a listen, and continue to allow your Lone Star to rise above the horizon of fear by choosing to live to love and love to live. Thank you guys. Have a great week. Love you.